I've already told you how the process of stimulation of the thyroid happens, how it comes to happen, and how you start producing the T3s and T4s. But remember this, that the thyroid does not only produce the T3s and T4s, it also produces one hormone that is called the RT3. That one is a very inactive hormone, and most of you don't even know it. And then there's another one that is called calcitonin. There was somebody who was asking about calcium levels. Now, the thyroid hormone produces that calcitonin hormone. This hormone is the one that actually sends calcium from blood into the bones. Now, do you see why people who have a low thyroid or who have thyroid problems end up having weak bones? Do you see why they end up having hypertension? Because when you accumulate calcium in blood, you will end up having kidney stones because that calcium will accumulate in the kidneys. It will now combine with oxalates that are coming from nuts, are coming from the spinach that they warn you against. And then when it combines with that, and then sugar makes it even worse. Now you start crystallizing these stones to form calcium oxalate stones. Those are kidney stones. So therefore, the thyroid is very important in your general health, even the kidney health. Again, when calcium accumulates in blood, it ends up depositing in the blood vessel wall. Now, this blood vessel is made up of cells that are called the smooth cells, smooth muscle cells. So when they take in the calcium, they contract because calcium is a contracting muscle element. So it helps the muscles to contract. Now, guess what? When the muscles contract, the blood vessels narrow. That is hypertension. That's why you use calcium channel blockers, nifedipine, amlodipine. These are the calcium channel blockers. Verapamil, they block calcium channels. So they block calcium from getting into the cells. And when calcium does not get into the cells, you get muscle relaxation and your blood vessel opens up. But you see, that's fixing the symptoms instead of fixing the cause of hypertension. So this calcitonin pumps calcium from blood into the bone so that you have these strong bones. And therefore it reduces the amount of calcium in blood. So therefore it's a natural function of the thyroid gland to regulate calcium in blood, which basically means you don't have to worry about taking bone broth, taking those eggs or those green leafy vegetables because of calcium, because when you have a functioning thyroid, the role will be done. That's why you must maintain homeostasis, a healthy system around your cells. You must take health personal. So then what are the functions of these hormones? Because when we are producing high hormones, why are we producing them? And when you have low hormones, what are we going to suffer from? That takes us to the types of thyroid disease or the types of thyroid issues. One is the hyper, two is the hypo. What is hyper? From the name, let the name guide you. When we say hyper, we mean excessive production of the thyroid hormones. Now, excessive production. When did we just start producing excess hormones? Like why? Why did we just wake up one day and we are producing excess hormones? It means something went wrong. But we will get to the hyper. Let's talk about the hypo. So when you have hypo, it means you're producing less of the thyroid hormones, right? Why are we producing less? It is self-explanatory, because where are they coming from in the first place? They are coming from the thyroid gland. So therefore, there must be a problem with the thyroid gland. So if you have a problem with the thyroid gland, of course, production of the thyroid hormones will go down, right? That is one. So you might have a thyroid tumor that blocks the production of the hormones. You might get maybe a cancer. You might get an infection or drugs that block the thyroid from producing thyroid hormones. And that's how we end up with hypothyroidism. So therefore, drugs for hyperthyroidism can actually lead you to hypothyroidism. So you'll keep on doing that. The system, playing the system, just like insulin. You eat carbohydrates, sugars go up. You inject insulin, sugars go into hypo. You now have to take soda. You're always playing a game with the system. And that's how doctors like it, because when you play that game, they get to stamp the authority as a doctor. You come back, we give you insulin, we give you brown bread, your sugars go up, we give you insulin, we give you brown rice. That's what you do all the time. It's crazy. Crazy. That brown is better than white. Anyway, so one is this one. So when you have a problem with the thyroid, the production of the thyroid hormones goes down. When that production goes down, that is hypothyroidism. Number two, from this, remember the managers? So this one is what we call the primary hypothyroidism. I guess most of you have heard that diagnosis, primary hypothyroidism, and you start wondering, what is primary hypothyroidism? What is secondary? Now, when you have a messed up thyroid gland that is causing you low production of the thyroid hormones, that is primary hypothyroidism. The second stage is from the pituitary gland level. That is the managerial level. When you have a pituitary tumor that is actually causing you not to produce thyroid stimulating hormone to stimulate the thyroid to produce the thyroid hormones, that is now secondary hypothyroidism. Hello? Secondary hypothyroidism is happening where? In the pituitary gland, our managers. And then, of course, we have the tertiary hypothyroidism. Now, in your gut, you have microorganisms. Those microorganisms, their function is to maintain the gut, to maintain the pH, to keep in check bad bacteria and the good bacteria so that you have a good population of bacteria in your gut. They help you in digestion. But most importantly, the gut microbiome, they help you to convert T4 to T3. Imagine that. So your gut is actually number one when you're trying to fix the thyroid problems. But how many people have hypothyroidism because they have low T3, but they are eating wheat. They are still eating wheat. They eat chapati, mandazi, and bread. They still not even changed to brown. They have not been told about the brown. They are still eating wheat. They are still using seed oils. They drink alcohol. They smoke cigarettes. They eat, what else? They eat sugar and the fruits because fruits are healthy, right? How many of you are eating those things and you have hypothyroidism and then you're given levothyroxine, 25 micrograms or 50 or 100 micrograms to swallow every single day, and nobody cares about what you've been eating? Yet we know these hormones, they are produced, the T4 is produced in abundance. But for you to get active T3, you must convert T4 to T3, and that needs the gut microorganisms. Therefore, those people who are taking kefir, those people who are taking fermented cabbage, those people who are taking kombucha, the fermented tea, those people who are taking, what else? The probiotics, you are actually doing yourself a very good favor because you're going to boost the gut microorganisms that will help you convert T4 to T3, the active one. So therefore, protect that gut. I am on levothyroxine now. I know, and you've been told that you have to take that for a lifetime. And then the weird part is, you just have a swollen thyroid, or the thyroid gland, which you call goiter. And then they go and remove that goiter, that thyroid gland, they remove it. When they remove it, how are you going to synthesize thyroid hormones? So that means you go into hypo automatically. And guess what is next? A prescription, levothyroxine. The tertiary hypothyroidism is in the hypothalamus, our CEO. So tertiary, secondary, and primary. And now the gut problem is also part of the primary hypothyroidism. So therefore, protect the gut by all you have. So what will happen if you're producing low hormones? So now that you have possibly a tumor here or a tumor in the hypothalamus, or you have drugs that are blocking the thyroid gland from producing the T3s and T4s, those are the carbimazoles, the methimazoles, the PTU, propyl thiouracils, those drugs that block the thyroid gland from doing its function. And I will relate this also to those drugs that block the liver from making cholesterol. The atorvastatins, the simvastatins, rosuvastatins. You know them, and the fenofibrates. They block the liver from doing its work. This is the same concept that is happening in the thyroid. Those drugs for hypothyroidism are the hormones, but those drugs for hyperthyroidism block the thyroid from making thyroid hormones. Why though? Why are we not focusing on the cause? So anyway, let's proceed. So when you start feeling lazy, you don't have motivation to do anything, you're getting obese and you don't know how to handle this, and you're getting depressed, you have lethargy, you have intolerance to cold. So every time you're feeling so much cold, and you're just there, you're so lazy and so demotivated, go and check your thyroids. Please go and check your thyroids. Because when you have low thyroid, remember the thyroid hormones are the ones that help in metabolism, they help in brain development, specifically in children. This is the reason why iodine in children is very important, because it is coming in to help them grow a higher IQ. So if your child has no high IQ, check the thyroids. Start supplementing with seafoods, the sea salt, and all this. And we'll talk about foods that are good for the thyroid, the eggs, the fish. We'll talk about them. But when your child has a low IQ, simply check the thyroid issue, because the thyroid plays a very important role in brain development of your child, even you. So if you're finding it hard to even comprehend very small things, like these things that we break down here, and you still struggle to understand them, hello, don't accept it and say, I'm a slow learner. No, you're not. You just have a very bad thyroid. Go and fix it, and you become, is it a fast learner, the opposite of slow learner? Yeah? So when you feel that laziness, you feel tiredness all the time, fatigue, lethargy, you're growing obese, you have low heart rate. Sometimes there are people who just come to hospital and you take a heart rate and it's very low. Bradycardia, very bad heart rate, slow heart rate. You have insensitivity to cold, you have low metabolism. And I think it's becoming a problem here, because most people are normalizing low metabolism. You easily tell me, I have a low metabolism, like it's a swag thing to tell people. Just the same way you say I have a sweet tooth. I'm like, okay, well, sweet tooth, yeah, boy. So you say you have a sweet tooth, you're just defending your sugar addiction. When you say I have slow metabolism, I have been made to understand that I have slow metabolism. You have slow metabolism, but you don't know how to fix it. So you have the diagnosis, but you cannot fix it. Hello? Let's be serious, okay? Don't allow them to soak your head with these crazy ideas that you believe and you become. Challenge them. So now they tell you don't worry, your weight is coming in because you have low metabolism. Doctor, but what should I do about the low metabolism? Where is it coming from? Is the thyroid? Help me fix the thyroid. Women have these cases because of estrogen. Higher levels of estrogen actually destroy the thyroid. So as you use that hormonal contraceptive, you're destroying the thyroid. So this is for people who have hormonal contraceptives, the injection, the pills, the P2s, and you're also using the implant or the patches for the estrogen replacement therapy or hormonal replacement therapy. You're using these hormonal contraceptives, you spike your estrogen levels, problems, that is obesity, and then you destroy your thyroid, that is low metabolism. So imagine if you're trying to lose weight when you're on a hormonal contraceptive. Sit back and just look at it that way. Sometimes that's why losing weight has never been a problem, but maintaining the lost weight is the problem. So that's why I tell you people, drop any hormonal contraceptive, because it's going to mess you up big time. It is for the little pleasure. So when you feel these issues of lethargy, you don't have energy, you don't have motivation, you think you're depressed because now you have mental health issues and you need us to walk you through that journey. When you have low motivation, you don't feel like going out because you feel like it's so cold, you're adding weight for no good reason, your bones are becoming weaker, infertility is there, all these issues, go and check your thyroid, because that is a sign of low thyroid. On the other side, we have high thyroid, right? So how the opposite of what is happening in low thyroid is actually happening in the high thyroid, because they are metabolic hormones. So they break down fat, you lose weight. So when you're losing weight so fast, hyperthyroidism. When you have eyes popping out, you think those are golden eyes? No. Somebody will tell me, but doctor, you have big eyes. Yes, I have big eyes, but I've checked my thyroid. Thank you. So yeah, so when you have eyes popping out and you're straining, go check the thyroid. Yeah, when you're losing weight so fast, you're having this brittle skin. Actually, listen, on the skin, that's where the only advantage comes in with hypothyroidism, because when you have hypothyroidism, you end up having a very good skin. But all the other issues are so many. So you have very smooth skin, you have very silky hair. But in hyper, you have very brittle skin. And ladies start losing their eyebrows. Now it's time to draw, right? Time to to draw and put on those other things that you put on. But hyperthyroidism actually destroys your hair because it makes it so brittle, the skin is so bad, and you're sweaty, you sweat all the time. So when you're sweating profusely, go and check your thyroids. Some of you sweat their hands, you can't even write, you're trying to write something, but the page gets on. The page gets on very, very, your books gets very wet because of the sweating. When you have issues with metabolism, you have high metabolism, you have a very high heart rate, your pulse rate is going up so fast, and then you have heat intolerance. So anytime there is a slight increase in temperature, you're becoming kuna shida. Go and check your thyroid because that is signs of hyperthyroidism.